Hi y'all, it's Michelle, the Southern Shell, and I am here with a project share for you. I'm going to show you this cute little upcycled tin can that I made for my daughter. Now this is I think this was a large can of maybe tomatoes or something like that when I make my spaghetti sauce. And I use the can opener that actually has the smooth edge. So it's nice and smooth. There's no rough, sharp edges. What I have done is I used this air dry modeling clay by Crayola. And it actually took several of these little packets, but I had them on hand. I wanted to go ahead and use these. I first did all the little bits and pieces here are all air-dried clay. I used the molds that you would use for maybe like candy, or these are just silicone molds. They are just real fun and easy to do. The problem with the air dry clay in this is it tends to want to stick in there. So the first thing that I will suggest you do is I have here just a little dish, and it has some cornstarch in it, just plain old cornstarch. I took one of my paint brushes, real simple, and tap it off, and then I just brushed on the inside of this mold. It worked well for me. I know that there's probably there's probably things out there that you can actually buy that will help this, but for me, I wanted to use what I had on hand, and so this cornstarch worked awesome, worked amazing. So I have some other ones here that I have done. So when they come out of the mold, here's a big mermaid. Look at that guy. And there's another mermaid. Let me move these little babies out of the way. So I have those, and then I have the little ones that I've done here. And these are actually colored. Look at how beautiful those turned out. What I used on these is actually my Arteza watercolored, the real brush pens. That's what I used on these to color them. Here is one of the fairies and one of the dragonflies. Now these actually look just like this. And what I've done after I have them colored, so I used my Arteza mica powder, and I used it in the color Ballerina Glow. So it gave you a little bit of just that white opalesque color to it, so it toned it down tremendously. And in order to apply this, I used my Mod Podge is what I did. And I used a small brush. I put some Mod Podge on the clay piece, and then I just dipped my paintbrush in my mica powder and brushed it onto the piece so that it gave that nice coat on there. You can see just how pretty that turned out. And it just gave a nice little iridescent opal coloring over the top of that. Opalesque is what I'm trying to get out of my mouth. And so, you go from the model clay into the molds. This is my Arteza Real brushes. And then some Mod Podge with the mica powder over it. And then what I did was on my can. What I did on my can is I put a coat of Mod Podge down over my can first, and I let it dry. So I had a nice base of Mod Podge on there. And then I took some cheesecloth and I cut it. You can look down here real close and you can see just the little bits of grain in there from the cheesecloth. And I took the Mod Podge and I just put the cheesecloth on over, leaving spots open enough for my art pieces, at least flat enough, until I could get in and then put some more pieces over that. So then I took my pieces and I glued them on using some of the E6000. I wanted to make sure that those were not going to come off. They're nice and soft. They're not real hard. They're pliable, and that's because they are the air dry clay. It's not, but it's not going anywhere. It's beautiful. I really like the way it turned out. Once I had those on, before I painted them, I went ahead and got more of that cheesecloth cut up into pieces and Mod Podged over the background behind all my clay pieces. So it built up and looked like there was a mossy rock or stone wall, however you want to think about that. I like the way it turned out. It's not a plain can. It looks like I wanted it to be a mushroom, and it kind of looks like just a stone wall, which I love the way that turned out. Once it was all done and I did the painting and I did the Mod Podge and the mica powder, I covered it again with a coat of Mod Podge just to be safe and seal it all in. And then it had to sit and cure for several days. Otherwise you get that stickiness, and I really wanted that to just be nice and smooth. And for the lid, what I did is this actually took, I think, 4 or 5 of those packages, and I didn't do real smooth around here. Every time I smoothed it, I kept adding to it because I wanted it to be higher. So I took my lid and I put a rim of the air dry clay around, and then I took it off and I let it dry. And once it was dry, I glued it onto the lid so that I had a base for this to sit on top of. I took a dryer ball and I used some plastic wrap to put it on top of a container, and that's what I used to mold my lid so that it looked like a little mushroom top. Now, yes, it should have been a little further out or a little taller, but I really didn't want it to be overly large because, you'd never know where this is going to be sitting or what's going to be in it. And so I wanted it to be small enough because I used a big can. And I used some different acrylic paints, and I might put another gloss coat over the top of that, maybe come in and try to, this could have been done better, but I wanted to kind of give you an idea of what I did. I used my acrylic deco art, and this one's called Buttermilk, and that's the base. And then I just used my stash. So I went downstairs and I picked up some more of my different colors, and I found this metallic, this purple one, and then the Sea Breeze. And I went ahead and just put some little dots on it because, it's cutesy. I pulled out the colors that were already in here that I used earlier so that it matches and blends right on in. And I really like the way that turned out. Now this can be used as a trinket jar or anything like that. And I thought, what a cute way also to use if you're a crafter. And my daughter's not a crafter, but she can use this on her desk at work. But if you're a crafter, you can use these little doggy bags. And you can use these as like little trash bags. Stuff that on in there. And when you're crafting, pull your lid off, and you've got a little trash can on your desk. Trash can if that's what you want to use it for, or a trinket jar. Well guys, thank you so much for joining me. I know I haven't been out for a while. I will explain what was going on in another video, but for right now I wanted to get this done and out to you so you guys could all see some of the things that I have been working on as I'm getting ready for my Christmas in July. What a wonderful Christmas gift this would make for somebody, and you have plenty of time to make it. Save your cans, get some air dry clay. You'll have so much fun doing it. You can do it with your kids too. They can paint it and they can help press it into the molds if that's what they want to do. But how stinking fun. Thank you all so much for joining me, taking time out of your day. And I just want to say I love y'all. I've missed y'all. And as always, stay safe. God bless. Bye for now.